Just let me know when.
There we go.
Oh, that's great.
Can we go let? Yeah.
Oh, you see this?
Yeah.
So it's not even full screen, so we can just do other stuff too. Just like, can they hear me right now?
How do I stop?
Don't talk into this. How will we? Hey, is this all hooked up to that camera?
No, but that is hooked into that, which is hooked into that.
So can they hear us right now? Can they hear us?
Probably.
Because when he just talked, the microphone's computer picked it up.
How is that looking? Because that looks like fun.
It should.
Why is the feed so slow right now?
Well, I'm on Wi-Fi, so.
Did we plug into?
You're plugged in here.
Wait.
You got plugged in earlier.
I don't see why that should be different.
It is.
Little
No, it is.
That, like it comes through there.
Like here, I'll show you.
Oh, this is
check to see.
pretty good.
Yeah. That's what troubles me.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
See? See, it's picking all that up.
Testing 1 2 3. BSN Collegiate Showcase live from Akron, Ohio. Testing 1 2 3.
Yeah, it's about 45 seconds.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
Don't worry about the big voice.
What are you going to do?
Let's go back to this one. before they start.
Okay.
And then after that, we'll pick up for it's gonna win. That sucks.
What? Oh, shit.
Your mic.
I would just say like.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome live inside the Style Fieldhouse on the campus of Akron, Ohio, the site for this weekend's 2013 Beyond Sports Network Collegiate Showcase. Before we get to tonight's action, which features the kickers on this part of the weekend's festivities, let's look back on last year's highlights and get psyched for this year's highlights. It's the 2013 Beyond Sports Network Collegiate Showcase live from the Style Fieldhouse in Akron, Ohio, and it is next. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Brian Scannell, joined alongside by Eric Galko of Optimum Scouting and Kerry Gibbs of Beyond Sports Network. We are here live and in color to call all the action from this weekend's festivities. First up tonight, we have the kickers from tonight's part of the showcase. Got a star-studded lineup for you, featuring 42 All-Americans throughout the weekend and 3 or 4 All-Americans in tonight's event. Tonight's event will go as follows. We just did the intro video. Participants: Everett Goldberg, Norfolk State; Tim Gilday from Avila, Northern Michigan All-American; Ryan Smith from West Alabama. A few All-Americans going on here. Kerry, tell us about tonight's lineup.
I'll tell you what, like you said, we actually have 5 All-Americans in this lineup. Everett Goldberg, he's at Norfolk State; Tim Gilday, NAIA, Avila. I know Galco loves that. Rockney Belamonte, great story from Northern Michigan. Ryan Smith, West Alabama, D2 country. Rainer Duzan, Morehead State. Michael Giorgetti, who we've seen at, one of our combines was at Atlanta. I believe you met him there.
It was College Park, and he was one of the, if I remember correctly, one of the top kickers at College Park.
Right, we got Travis Huber, Eureka College, D3. Kyle Evans, All-American from Manchester. James McFadden, Widener. Tom Adolph, Chance Wilson, Josh Steele, and Colton Rainey round out our kickers for the night.
Looks like that we're about to get started with the festivities. Kerry, before we get started with that, though, why don't you give us a rundown, break down the rules and how this weekend's going, or how the kicking showcase tonight's going to run.
Well, we're going to run through a couple things tonight. Last year, a lot like last year, we're going to start with kickoffs. Each kicker, which they began warming up about a half hour ago, they should be well stretched out. We're going to do some kickoffs for us tonight. Once that's completed, we're going to start in the round 1. Now, these rounds take place over 2 days. Round 1 will be tonight. The kickers will use a stationary holder. They will attempt 3 extra points, and then they'll go 2 kicks from each hash mark at the 15, 25, 35, and get this, the 45-yard line. That's some distance right there. And then if there's any ties, they're going to kick from the 50-yard line tonight. And like I said, tomorrow they're going to do the round 2 elimination, which we can get to that tomorrow if you want to. But that's round 1 tonight.
Eric Galko, looking at our roster, as one of the top scouts at Optimum Scouting, well, who are you looking at here? Who do you think is going to stick out today?
Of the kickers?
Yes.
Of the kickers, my vote here to be the favorite of the kicking competition. Hopefully he gets a chance to get past round 1 and get to the next few days is Everett Goldberg. I did a lot of HBCU scouting this year, and up and down year for Everett Goldberg, but I think he's a guy that has a lot of kicking talent, can get the 50-yard range. If he can get the kick right, I think he has a chance to be one of the more impressive guys this week in the kicking competition.
All right, as it looks like our first contestant is set, has the ball teed up. If I'm not mistaken, that might be, yes, it is Mr. Everett Goldberg there in the yellow shorts, kind of in the center of the field there. Has our back turned to us. Yeah. Looks like we may have a few more rules to go over down there. Once again, Brian Scannell, Kerry Gibbs, Eric Galko, Beyond Sports Network, Collegiate Showcase 2013 style, inside the Style Fieldhouse on the campus of Akron, Ohio. Last year we were here. Kerry, Eric, what were some kickers that stuck out to you guys last year?
Well, we had Eddie Carmona, who had a little stint with the Raiders. I believe he's going to try to get back to the NFL this year. Chase McCoy plays in the indoor league for the Monsters. So, I mean, this year's lineup is just as every bit talented as last year's. And I'll tell you who I like. Spoke to him today at the check-in. Josh Steele, St. Francis, PA. Missed 3 field goals in his entire career. He's going to take it this weekend, I'm telling you.
Well, before we get to our evening picks here, Kerry, give us a quick rundown of the weekend itself.
Well, it's been a little hectic today, but we're wrapping things up here. Tonight we're going to do the first round of the kicking competition as well as kickoffs. As we speak, we have groups of players in the weight room right now getting weighed in, putting up the bench. That's going to go out throughout the night. We'll wrap up here about 7:45, but it's looking more like 8-ish. Then tomorrow we start early, 7 a.m. We're going to hit the combine drills. I'm talking, vert jump, 40, all that good stuff tomorrow morning, and we'll keep you updated tomorrow which groups are going when, but we'll be fixated on the 40-yard dash all morning. Then tomorrow evening we'll break into groups, do position drills. We got one-on-ones for the defenses and offensive linemen. Quarterbacks will show their arm off to the scouts. And then we'll break for a 7-on-7 to end tomorrow night. Then Sunday, the big All-Star game, as well as the finale of the kicking competition. Or no, the winners of the kicking competition will showcase their legs in that All-Star game as well. So I mean, we got a full weekend, and it's only getting started.
And once again, folks, Brian Scannell, Eric Galco, Kerry Gibbs will be with you all weekend long. Fireside chats with Brian, Kerry, and Eric. And we'll be live streaming here on Livestream, Beyond Sports Network 2013. The BSN CollegiateShowcase.com. Be sure to stop by every afternoon, morning, and night. Watch us while you're eating dinner, eating breakfast, eating lunch, having a snack.
We'll be here.
We will be here, and we will be live and in color, ready to bring you all the action of this weekend's festivities.
We'll be here before breakfast, before you start eating breakfast, while you're eating lunch, and after you're finishing dinner too. We'll be here all day on Friday, all day on Saturday, I should say, and all day on Sunday to bring you the BSN showcase.
Set your alarm. Wake up with us. We'd love to wake up to you.
I'll be eating breakfast tomorrow morning while we're doing this. So I mean,
There you go.
there we go.
We'll be munching for sure. Well, it looks like maybe we're about to get going. I see we've moved some balls off the field. Looks like they've got it all cleaned up. One of the big guys that have been tutoring these kickers as we go is Jimmy Kibble, the CEO here at Beyond Sports Network. Kicked for Virginia Tech, has kicked in the AFL, NFL Europe, the NFL itself. He's kicked for the New England Patriots. He's kicked for a number of different teams. Has his career cut short due to unfortunate injuries. But Eric, tell us a little bit about Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy is one of the better kickers in the ACC when he was at Virginia Tech, and unfortunately for him, the injuries like you mentioned, but also he was with the Patriots and the Eagles, I believe, stuck behind Adam Vinatieri and David Akers. So it's being a kicker in the NFL is sometimes more about luck than about having the talent to do so, and Jimmy's done a great job here of tutoring these kickers the past few years. That's his true passion when it comes to evaluating players, is watching these kickers. Something I appreciate as I try to scout the rest of the positions, the rest of the country, while Jimmy focuses on the kickers and punters. So, I think it's a great privilege for all these kickers to be here and get a chance to work out in a competitive environment and show really who is the best kicker and handle pressure as well as show off their leg as kickers as well. So I think it's a perfect opportunity for a lot of kickers, obviously at a small school level here, but kickers around the country, they do want to be involved to get a chance to impress in front of NFL scouts and in a highly pressure situation here.
What are we looking for in terms of kickers, in terms of techniques, in terms of skill and talent? What are we looking for? What are we keeping an eye on?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing you look at quarterbacks, the biggest thing you look for is arm strength, and same thing for kickers. I think if a guy can kick the ball 50 yards consistently and have some sort of accuracy, even if it's not going in all the time, it's going to be intriguing that some coaches can think they can work with. But I think for the most part, especially in the NFL, in between that 35 and 45 range, if you can hit those with 95, 100% consistency throughout your career, that's what NFL scouts are going to say. We can give this guy a chance in camp as well. But the NFL, it's got to be 45 plus. You got to be able to hit those kicks with some regularity, and definitely in a pressure situation like this is showing right now. I think being able to know how many kicks you have to make, and knowing that the guy before you made 9 kicks, you got to make 10 to win it. I think it puts a lot of pressure on these guys to be successful. And obviously, in the NFL, it's a highly competitive environment, and they weed people out that can't handle it. We'll see if these kickers can this week, and see if they can impress some of the NFL scouts and CFL scouts that'll be on hand.
For sure, pressure is one of the big things that you find in all sports, primarily in the NFL. Kerry, what do you think kind of the mental toll that tonight's competition could take on these guys, knowing, like what Eric said, that the guy in front of you made 9. In order to win, you need to make 10.
Well, it's not only that, it's the pressure to make that first kick. Those first 3 PATs are just crucial. And like you said, the mental toll is going to be, okay, I missed 1 extra point, so I'm 2 through from extra point. Am I going to go out and drill the next one? You can't let this get to your head. And these players are going to, this is a simulation for the professionals. If you miss one, you got to go out there and you have a short memory. You got to make that next one. So I think that's the mental toll that's going to be put on these players tonight, is not only the guy behind you or in front of you doing better than you, but also you beating yourself.
That's true. The mental capacity that takes in football. You find a lot of guys saying that teams finish after losing and they come off and say, we beat ourselves today. It wasn't the other team that beat us. We made mistakes, mental errors, and we beat ourselves. So I think that's one thing that you find a lot, and I think you're absolutely right, guys, when you say that, that's something that could definitely take a toll today. Now, as it looks like maybe we're about ready to start kicking some footballs, let's hear some predictions. Kerry, heard you talking about Josh Steele. You seemed pretty high on him last night in our meeting, and today while we start our broadcast. You going with him?
He's my favorite college football player we have here. He walked in there and he said, "Hey, I'm here for a reason. I missed 3 kicks in my career. What? Hey, I'm here." So, just going off that attitude and those stats, he can't be beat.
Eric?
Yeah, the tallest kicker here is Everett Goldberg from Norfolk. I mentioned him earlier. He had a bit of a rough year this year and showing off any accuracy. But I think this event could show that maybe he has the leg to do it. Obviously, he has the size that can project the ball long enough. I think he can hit those 45, 50 yarders. I think he'll impress this week as long as he can get past these first round or so and show some consistency.
I'm going with Rockney Belmonte. Commissioned second lieutenant at the U.S. Army All-American game. Football doesn't work out. He's going to be going to the Army. Everett Goldberg, first up, his first kickoff from the 35-yard line, lands at about the 6. So not quite a touchback like what we're looking for in the NFL. That's your boy there, Galco. So first kickoff for Everett Goldberg. Kerry, how many kickoffs these guys going to get?
I believe somewhere around the neighborhood of 2 apiece. I'm not really sure, to be honest.
Okay. So we got about 14 kickers kicking 2 field goals, or not 2 field goals, but 2 kickoffs apiece. For Everett Goldberg, first one went to the 6-yard line. Next up, now who is that? We are currently broadcasting from the top of the bleachers. And unfortunately, these guys don't have numbers on their backs, just on their fronts. Tomorrow on their game jerseys and Sunday on their game jerseys, they'll have numbers on the back, so it should be a little bit easier. It looks like number 14.
That's Josh Steele. This
Josh
is my boy.
Steele. Here's Kerry's boy. Coming up for his first kickoff from St. Francis.
Some good hang time.
That looks like a pass. Lands at the 15-yard line. That spiraled like it wasn't like he threw the ball, didn't it?
Gotta get hang time.
Eric, talk to me. Are we looking for an end-over-end kick, or are we looking kind of more like a punt where it spirals?
Yeah, I think you're looking for the end-over-end kick, and I think for punters it depends on the system, but for especially for the kickoff, you're trying to get as most distance as possible, and having any spin is going to direct it left to right, and it's going to make it hard to get enough hang time, like you mentioned, also enough accuracy. So I think that was probably a poor kick and a miss hit by Josh. They only get a chance to redeem himself with a kick in the future as well.
Well, that's a nice thing about having 2 kicks, and like we said before, they are kicking off from the NFL 35-yard line, so the best will be able to kick it right into the back of the end zone and aim for those uprights. Next up on the field is Ryan Smith from West Alabama, BSN All-American, a booming kick. My goodness.
There we go.
That's in the end zone. Hit square in the middle of the end zone. They're right in the middle of the R on Akron. And that was certainly the best one of the evening. Ryan Smith, an All-American kicker from West Alabama. Guys, what do you got on him?
From West Alabama, that's D2. Like you say, he's an All-American. Got a huge leg right there. Did you see that kick?
Right in the middle of the R.
He keeps doing that. He's going to take this contest.
Ryan Smith, keep an eye on him. Sleeper pick. Even though he's an All-American, he may be a sleeper here. Number 29 now, Todd Adolph from Northwest Missouri State. Kicking off from the 35-yard line. His first kick, a sky-high kick. Went about as far up as it did out. Lands, bounces at the 1-yard line. Not a bad kick. Not a touchback, but not a bad kick.
Yeah, I got some height on, and that's what you're looking to see as well. Long as it's not only about distance for a lot of these kickers as well, but if the ball gets 65 yards in a hurry, the kick returner has a chance to return it as well. So hang time as well as distance is what these guys are looking for.
Next up now, Michael Giorgetti. Interesting story about Giorgetti. He started off as a soccer player in high school. Didn't really want to play football. Goes to Fairleigh Dickinson. I think he has 2 field goals his entire career, I want to say. And he gets invited to the D3 Combine, shows up, shows out. Not the D3 Combine, but the D3 Classic. Shows up, shows out, goes to the Pro Football Combine, BSN, held at College Park. Gets invited to Lehigh Valley Steelhawks, and now he's got a 1-game contract as his kicks up, and that's going to bounce at about the 5-yard line, so certainly not his best performance. He has a bit of a stronger leg. But an interesting backstory. Gets signed to the Lehigh Valley Steelhawks for 1 game. Eric, Kerry, why do you think only 1 game?
Yeah, I think it just depends on the team giving a tryout and seeing what he can do as a guy who has a lot of experience in college as well. It's a big question mark for a lot of these kickers is we mentioned pressure before. A lot of soccer players obviously have the legs to be able to kick the football, and once they get the technique down, they can do it adequately. But can they handle the pressure? Can they be consistent? That's what the teams want to try out, and we'll see you get a chance for him to try it this week as well and see if he can have that consistency here.
Could be injury as well, Brian.
James McFadden now out of Widener. Excuse me, that's not James. That's number... Yeah, that was James.
James McFadden from Widener, number 38. Yep.
Kick didn't go quite as far as he wanted it to. Bounced at about the 15, 20-yard line. So certainly one of the shortest ones we've seen based off of his reaction off the tee, definitely did not look like that was one that he wanted. So we'll see. He'll have another kick, another chance to recover from that. Later on in the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, we'll start to go into a little bit more detail about some of these kickers that we have here tonight and then some of the players that we have here this week and kind of previewing guys as we look on as Colton Rainey from Southwestern Oklahoma State, All-American, booms one just short of the end zone at about the 3.5 to 4 yard line. But we'll be previewing some guys, reviewing the NFL Combine in Indianapolis, talking about some pro days, seeing who's impressed Kerry, who's impressed Eric, not just from our Combine, but from pro days and Combines altogether. Kind of talking about what makes the Combine so much better than the pro day or vice versa, and just talking football for the next few hours.
Got a lot of time on our hands.
Got a lot of time on our hands.
40 times are a lot of fun. We'll be forward to analyzing those and also getting all the bench rep numbers and the shuttle time numbers. But this is one step in the process for a lot of these guys and for the NFL and CFL teams trying to evaluate them.
Yeah. Chance Wilson now, Alabama A&M now.
He's got a few
on
teammates
the kick.
Here. Got a few teammates here.
A booming kick. Not bad, end over end. Lands at about the 5, so about average is what we've seen. We've definitely seen, I believe, was it Josh Thiel that sent one right on the R. Definitely the best kick so far.
I think a lot of these guys were more focused on accuracy and consistency in college, and I think that's what a lot of these guys are going to impress in those 30, 35, 40, 45-yard field goals. But the kickoffs is something that, that's the easiest way to get in the NFL. If you can boom the kick in the end zone every single time, you can have some interest there. I know a lot of guys have gotten drafted in the past off that as kickers, and we'll see if one of these guys can do it as well.
Manchester's finest, Kyle Evans, All-American. As you can hear, Dan Evans in the background probably calling out linebackers and such to head over to the bench press room. Not quite the best kickoff in the world for Kyle Evans. Goes about the 11-yard line there. Still looking for that guy that could put it through the uprights off the 35-yard line. Once we find him, we may find an NFL caliber kicker. What do you guys think?
Yeah, last year we had Andy Carmona who came here. That just proves that, being a small school is almost irrelevant, especially a kicker. If you can kick in the NFL. I think that's what NFL teams are going to look for. So there's a guy that can boom kicks here and kick in the back of the end zone consistently and have some accuracy, 40, 45 yards plus. Doesn't matter if from Harding like Eddie Carmona was or anywhere these guys are from, all the small school guys. We'll see if they can impress here.
Yep. Rainier Duzan, Morehead State, up for his kick. A high, I lost that one in the lights. That one comes back down at just about the 6. Kerry?
If I might interrupt, we got Dan Evans. He's announcing some results from the bench press. I can't really hear him, so as soon as we get those folks, we'll get those out to you and let you know the highs, the lows, not the lows, but the highs and the goods. How about that?
Well, for sure, the good, the bad, and the good. Yeah. The good, and the good. Because we here at BSN, we're good people. And we like to think we're good people, and we hope that you're enjoying listening to us good people just find things to talk about. So now next up, we got number 43, Travis Huber out of Eureka College. A short kickoff, more like a pooch kick. Doesn't even get to the 15. Hits just in between the 20-yard line and the 15-yard line. We'll call that the 16.5, 17.5. Not quite the best kick we've seen. As Jimmy Kibble punts it back. Could he be warming up that leg? Could we see Jimmy Kibble make a return to football here tonight? We may find out later on.
True dark horse in this event.
Who knows? Maybe we are all wrong with our predictions.
I'm not massaging his hamstring. That's all I'm saying.
He'll have to go find someone else. Maybe his wife will do it. If she's tuning in, hello. Good to see you. Good to see you. Number 46, Tim Gilday. NAIA guy. Kerry, your man. You've been following the NAIA. What teams impressed you in the NAIA this past season? What were some good teams?
You had Morningside against Marion in the championship. Those two certainly were they were consistent all year long. We had Morningside's Colby Henderson here, so that's pretty exciting. But hey, look out for Cumberland's next year. Terrence Cobb, running back. Look out for him.
Lefty on the field. Heads up. Look out. It's up. A high booming kick. Sits smack dab at the 10-yard line.
So right there at the 10.
Couldn't get a number on him, guys. Did you get a number on him? That was
it was
left-handed kicker. Turn around there, buddy. 47.
We got Rockney
Belmonte, my guy. Hey, he's a field goal kicker. He scores. Yep. He's a point scorer.
Right, we got Goldberg coming back up, second round.
That is correct. Starting off the second round, Goldberg's kick wasn't the greatest kick. Got to about the 5-yard line, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think only Josh Steele really had a quality first kickoff. So hopefully that's just a bit of tightness and getting used to the AFL balls here we're using.
That's true. That's one thing we need to point out, guys, is Kerry, what's kind of, how much different is it using an AFL ball to a NFL ball, as Goldberg has a great second kick, puts that one in the end zone?
Well, me and Gauker were looking at them. They seemed longer. And they seemed like they pumped up different. Like they were more puffy, I guess is the word. I don't really know how to describe it. But there's not. They assured me there was not much difference. So I guess we'll see.
I was talking to Rockney Belmonte about that too, and he said that they got a bit of a bigger sweet spot. So I asked if it was easier or harder, and he said it's actually easier because they got a bit of a bigger sweet spot, and that kind of goes along with what you guys were saying, how they may be longer, so that sweet spot may be a little bit easier to hit. As Josh Thiel comes back up from St. Francis, All-American. He actually participated in the BSN showcase, or the BSN Professional Combine in College Park as well. He and Giorgetti were both there. Giorgetti actually drove up the day after the D3 Classic. A little fun fact there. Thiel's kick goes about as high up as it does out. Hits just inside the 15. We'll call that the 13-yard line.
Here comes.
As our statistician, Dan Evans, who we've mentioned a few times, is on his way up with some numbers. And we'll have those for you very soon. Highs and lows from the bench press room. Something everybody loves to keep track of and listen to. As Ryan Smith, West Alabama, All-American, comes up wearing two different color shoes. That's always fun to watch. And a good kick.
Hat on backwards.
Cool hat on backwards. He's chilling. He's kicking the ball. Hits just inside the R there. Hits just below the R, excuse me, as you get into the end zone. It's not a bad kick. That's the second or third one to go into the end zone here this evening. Guys trying to stay loose there. You may be able to see them in the background kicking field goals into the other field goal post. And Eric, a little something interesting here in Akron is we don't actually have field goal posts. We have field goal
nets
posts marked off on a net. You're right. We have like field goal nets. How do you think that may affect the guys?
Yeah, I think especially, obviously for kickoffs, not going to do much, but we'll see how it affects the guys when they're kicking field goals, if it's going to be a little more difficult. They look a bit, maybe a little bit higher, a little off balance compared to obviously a regular field goal post. We'll see if it makes a difference at all. And we'll have, obviously, Jimmy and the other people here at BSN making sure the kicks do count, making sure we realize that they're inside the goal post. But I think it should be okay as far as the kickers being able to kick. I think it won't be much of a difference as long as they get used to it early on.
All right, and Eric, looks like you got a few bench press numbers there. What's the high we got so far today?
Yeah, we got the defensive lineman right in front of me right now. We have C.J. Carroll of Albion, defensive end, measuring at 5'11.5 today, 257, put up 30 bench reps. He was the highest of our defensive linemen so far and of the event so far itself. Also, Gus Taka from Pittsburgh State, defensive end, measuring at 6'1.5, 280, and had 26 bench reps. So both very good numbers for the defensive linemen that I've seen so far. Kerry, what do you think?
I mean, these are outstanding. I mean, you got Zach Van Duzen, NAIA Ottawa defensive tackle, 27 times. Put in at, I think he's 6'2". Put the bench up 27 times. You got Richard Sumlin from Findlay putting up 24 times. Trevor Robbins, another NAIA guy, putting up 23 times. He's from Central Methodist. I mean, these are good numbers all around good numbers from the defensive line.
So the NAIA guys seem to be representing here this weekend.
Don't jinx us. Don't jinx us.
Well, I mean, that kind of leads into my next question, Kerry, is, teams look at that and say, oh, he's an NAIA guy, so he hasn't played with the top level of talent. They say there is a talent drop-off as you go down from Division I down to 2, down to 3, down to the NAIA. What is something that the NAIA has that makes these guys marketable? Because they're at a serious disadvantage, because most teams do believe that the talent differential is so great between the divisions.
Well, I mean, it's obviously a disadvantage. Many would say just aesthetically, people would say, "Oh, NAIA, I don't want them." But people don't give these guys enough time. They don't evaluate them. They just look at they don't even look past the stats. James Bowman last year, defensive lineman for us, blew up the combine, NAIA guy. I mean, just give him a chance. That's all I'm saying. I think these guys are going to perform very well, and we're going to be surprised, I think.
What are some names you mentioned being surprised? Theron Allen Jr., he's the guy from the NAIA. There are a few players here that, people have been talking about. I've been seeing tweets about them from, quote-unquote experts in the NFL draft. Who are some guys that have been impressing you this year, Kerry?
Oh, yeah, Theron Allen, first and foremost. I think he's going to run a very, very fast 40. I know Eric would agree with me. Zach Van Dusen, defensive tackle here, a great year, second-team All-American. Guy that's not here, Austin Coleman, St. Francis, Indiana. He might get a pro contract somewhere. He was definitely very explosive. But, hey, there's a whole handful of them. There's talent out there. It's just a matter of finding it.
So far we've been sitting here watching the kickers. Eric, you mentioned a few names prior to them practicing their kickoffs and working on their kickoffs and stuff, and prior to them actually participating. In terms of mechanics, what does a scout look for in terms of the mechanics for a kicker?
Well, I think the easiest thing as far as grading kickers for scouts is you can use stats, and they can be pretty reasonable in terms of judging a guy. Obviously, if a guy is under 80% as a kicker, it's hard to make a justification that he can kick that well unless he's got, a 55-yard leg on him. So I think the biggest thing that helps in kicker evaluation is you can look at stats and get the most out of them as compared to other positions. Obviously, quarterback, running back, receiver, stats are very determinative on the team and players around him. Kicker, go out there and kick. And I think the other thing you want to look for is how they can get their footwork and how they can still get velocity on the kicks despite poor weather or poor footing. In the NFL, obviously, we know Adam Vinatieri won 3 Super Bowls with New England Patriots, and he played consistently every year in New England weather, in the playoffs, obviously Super Bowl winning kick in the snow as well. So teams want to see how these guys can keep their footing and still generate enough velocity off their foot in conditions like that. And obviously here in a dome, we can't get that feeling, but I think we can still get a feeling for their technique if they're able to hit the sweet spot of the ball, collide on it consistently, and get enough velocity on it without using too much of the rubber body to generate it. Obviously, guys that can get the most out of just their leg is what's going to get the most impression for NFL scouts, because you can work with rubber body technique as a kicker. So I think for the most part, you can look at stats, but it's also about seeing how these guys perform under pressure, under poor weather conditions, and do they have consistency in what they're doing.
We got our left-footed wonder back up. Or excuse me, no, he's right-footed. Like I said, we're sitting far back, ladies and gentlemen, so we have about the same view that you have. So here goes. The kick is up, and it lands just inside the 10-yard line for Tim Gilday from Avila. Interesting little factoid. Got a chance to talk to Tim in the hotel today. Told me that about 3 years ago, he was in a car accident where he was rear-ended. His truck flipped 3 times, end over end. Seatbelt failed and the airbag failed. Jeez. He was halfway ejected from the vehicle, but here's the interesting thing. They get the jaws of life. They cut him out to the point where he can kick the door open, and then he walks to the ambulance. Has minor cuts and bruises, and he's just fine. A sore neck. And I believe he said he had a concussion. A very minor concussion.
Wow. That's the kind of guy I want to have on my team.
And here he is now, kicking in the BSN Collegiate Showcase, representing Avila. And just an interesting story. There are a few interesting stories that we've got here that we'll touch on throughout the weekend. And he's just one of them, one of the many. Rockney Belmonte, another guy commissioned as a second lieutenant at the U.S. Army All-America game. Just a plethora of interesting people, and great talent from all levels of college football.
Yeah, a lot of the guys in the small schools, generally have a unique path that they got there, how they had their success despite going to a small school. Obviously, everyone wants to play in the SEC or the ACC, and guys go down to this level either because they didn't, have a chance to show what they can do in high school, or an injury, or a transfer down. We have a couple of transfer down guys here as well, so there's always unique stories about the guys that are here and how they've had to overcome so much to have success in college and hopefully have success at the pro level.
Talk about how much these guys do have to overcome. Like, Kerry, we briefly touched on the NAI, but even these guys that don't have stories like Tim Gilday getting in a car accident, just the sheer fact that they come from such a small school is enough to break somebody down, because that's a lot to overcome coming from a small school that doesn't get a lot of publicity and has a bad rep, so to speak.
Well, not only that, but it's just the difference between the FBS and the smallest level schools is like our boss Dan Evans always says. Jimmy, you play at Virginia Tech. You were staying in five-star hotels. We were staying in little 2-bedroom shacks. So it's the mental aspect of just being a small school football player. Being beat down all these years and not thinking you can go somewhere. That's where we come in. That's where BSN comes in. Gives these guys some exposure, gives them some some credit, and that's why we have this showcase for players just like that. And I really hope that we can get some pros out of these guys. I mean, these guys deserve it. They work just as hard as the upper level football players, and we're bound to determine to give them a pro contract.
And the difficulty these guys have a lot of times, especially at the small school level, is that especially the NFL dream, which all these guys really want to have, as we see a good kick there. These guys want to get to the NFL level, but the problem is a lot of these NFL teams will do the research on the small school guys, but assume a lot from their junior tape. And Bledsoe and National, the two scouting services that work with the NFL, give these teams their grades of these small schoolers. So these teams rely on that to go out and find these guys and go to visit those schools. So if you're not on that list as a junior, it's hard to get national recognition, especially at the NAIA level, where I actually don't remember the last time. I think it was 2009 when the last NAIA player was drafted.
Armand Smith.
I think it was Greg Toller, actually. Greg Toller from St. Paul. But, I mean, they've had some talent in the past as well, and there's definitely talent down there as well. But, we're always hopeful that a guy like that, and that's why BSN is great to hear that a lot of these guys get a lot of exposure and get a chance to talk about what they can do, have their own profile and treat their future NFL job as a business and make their own profile, be proactive, and get a chance to show professional teams what they can do.
Sounds good. Good analysis, guys, there, because that's something that there's talent from every level of the NCAA worldwide and all over the place. As we we look back towards the action on the field, we've had a few pretty good kicks. Michael Giorgetti, Josh Steele had a few good kicks there as we were in deep discussion. And Todd Adolph now up for Northwest Missouri State. A high booming kick that might catch the ceiling. It doesn't, but it lands just before it gets to the end zone. Certainly one that looked in the air, looked a lot better than it ended up being. But not a bad kick, because like you said earlier, Eric, the fact that it may not always go out, but if it goes up and gives the kickoff team a chance to get down there and cover, that may be enough.
Yeah, you want to stop a guy, you want to stop a returner within 25 yards, the 25-yard line. So if you can get a little bit deep in the end zone and give them less room to work, then you can have your special teams team. You do that.
Michael Giorgetti now up for his third kick, as it looks like we'll cycle through this 3 times.
My bad.
That's fine, Kerry. We'll cycle through this 3 times. Giorgetti up for his next kick from Fairleigh Dickinson, making Nutley, New Jersey proud. Giorgetti's kick is up.
Get down there, come on.
Lands just inside the 10-yard line. Kibble stands there at about the 8, where it'll be recorded there.
And folks, I don't know if I made this clear or not, but the kickoff portion of the kicking competition actually has no bearing on who advances and who doesn't. It's simply for the scouts. Not only do we have this video shooting you're seeing right now, we also have a video down on the field behind the kickers to get a better vantage point of this. So there's going to be great film out there on these kickers. We're going to get that to pro teams. I can guarantee you that.
For sure. From about where I stand, I see 2, 3, maybe even 4 cameras. 5 if you want to count the one we're using.
There goes McFadden.
There goes McFadden's kick. A boomer.
Down to the 2.
It's just about the 2-yard line. So another decent kick from McFadden, as we welcome Colton Rainey, Southwestern Oklahoma State, back to the 35-yard line for his kick. And again, I'm Brian Scannell alongside of Kerry Gibbs and Eric Galko. Here calling all the action of this weekend's 2013 Beyond Sports Network Collegiate Showcase. Check us out, www.bsncollege.com or www.beyondsportsnetwork.com or www.bsncollegiateshowcase.com. Again, that last one was www.bsncollegiateshowcase.com, as Colton Rainey's kick landed at about the 2-yard line. So not a bad kick, and again another kick that went high, went about as high up as it did out. So certainly things that we're all looking for.
Here comes Chance Wilson, Alabama A&M. See what Chance can do here.
Had a pretty decent first couple kicks in the first 2 rounds. We'll see if he can put this one in the end zone, as Chance steps up, runs up, drives the leg through.
Get out there.
One thing that all these guys are doing is they're keeping it pretty straight and narrow between the hash marks. Is that something that scouts are looking for, Eric?
Yeah, I think, as far as getting enough distance on what you want to get the most distance as possible, definitely keeping it straight is going to limit the distance the ball has to travel. But I think for the most part, positional kickoffs is something they can work with in the future, but they want to see these guys get on the field. And I would see if you get in the straight, then you can hit it farther as much as possible. So far some good kicks here in round 3. I think that most of the guys are getting it inside the 10, 5-yard line, and we've had a couple in the end zone now.
They're getting loose. That's what's happening.
For sure. As you can see, a lot of guys in the background there on our live stream camera stretching out a little bit, laying in the end zone, stretching out the hamstrings, the quadriceps, the hip pointers, make sure that that's all good to go.
Kyle Evans with a touchback right there.
Not a bad kick at all from the pride of Manchester, All-American Kyle Evans. So 3 or 4 touchbacks we've seen now. So guys, I think you're right. Starting to loosen up.
Yep.
Yeah, they're starting to loosen up. Get some deep ones.
Hopefully they get loose for the field goal contest, because that's where we're gonna separate the men from the boys.
That's where they're gonna make their money,
yep,
so to speak. Find that big contract. Rainier Duzan.
That's got some hang time.
Man, it's just in front of Coach Jimmy Kibble, former Hokie, at about the 7-8 yard line, as he punts one right into the hands. Yes, Jimmy, he meant to kick that right into the hands, even though it was a short, low-line punt. Kibble's claim to fame told me that he kicked a 98-yard punt. I'd like to see some film on that.
You believe him?
Do I believe him? I'd like to. Number 43, Travis Huber, lands just inside the 10-yard line. It's not a bad punt. Or not a bad kick, excuse me. Does the roll really matter to scouts much? Because when you talk about a punt, you want to get a good roll. You want to get a good bounce. What about on a kickoff?
Yeah, in a kickoff you want to get a little bit of both, a little bit of hang time, a little bit of distance. Definitely getting the ball deep in the end zone is going to make it hard for the returner. I think on a punt, it's more about hang time and more about just getting that halo around the punt returner as narrow as possible. But I think if these guys are showing a bit of both right now, like you mentioned before, getting loose and doing a bit of both.
Tim Gilday sent his to about the 5-yard line. Kerry?
Yeah, I mean, you got to think with the roll on this, if there was players out there, it wouldn't roll very far. I mean, someone's going to pick it up. So you want to, like Eric said, you want to get it up in the air and as far as possible, because if not, you're looking at a return from the 10 rather than the 1.
Rockney Belmonte now up for his third, we believe, final kick from the 35-yard line. At least we hope it's his final kick from the 35-yard line.
Who knows?
Comes on up, left-footed. Kick is up. Not a bad kick. Lands inside the 5-yard line. As our man Eric Galco steps away briefly to go get us, do a little sideline reporting from the bench press room.
Just the two of us.
Maybe. So now it's Kerry Gibbs and I, as we are joined in the press box in the booth by Coach Cavanaugh. He's having a bite to eat, so we'll leave him alone.
He teaches guys to run fast.
He's a speed coach. You'll see him on the field throughout the weekend.
Linebackers coach, right?
We'll try to warm him up here as the weekend goes on. Maybe he'll want to be famous for a little while. Who knows?
See you later.
See you, Coach. Thanks for dropping by.
We had fun. Here's Goldberg.
I believe we're going to go round 4 now with kickoffs. Honestly, folks, we agree. Okay, I know you're tired of seeing kickoffs. There's only so much kickoffs you can take.
Hey, there's kicking fans out there getting their money's worth. I tell you that. The 4th kickoff might be the last.
If you love special teams, then you're going to love us right now. You're going to love tonight's festivities because it is all special teams. It is all kickers.
I'll tell you what, last year, it got exciting. That elimination round got exciting. I mean, because they run from the sideline to their spot in the last round. It's not like they're sitting out there kicking from stationary. No, they're running from the sideline out there, just like a real game scenario, like they have to kick a last-second field goal. Every single one of them. So it gets intense. I'm telling you.
So now, as you may or may not be able to see on your screen, but what we've actually done is they have moved the ball over between the hash mark and the center of the field. So it kind of splits the difference. and they're doing directional kickoffs. Now, Kerry, in a game, directional kickoffs, it's something you want to do to try to keep it away. Like, let's say you're going against the Bears. They have 2 returners back. You want to keep it away from, let's say, Devin Hester. Kick it to somebody else. So is that kind of what we're looking at here, is showing that, yes, these guys can do directional kickoffs?
Oh, yeah, of course. And the key to this, too, also, you still got to maintain that hang time because you got to give your defenders time to get down there and make the tackle. You can't let the guy catch it and your guys be 20 yards away. So, but, yeah, you're wanting to kick this away. You're wanting to plant it right in the corner down there and make sure it goes on the on the end zone side of the end zone rather than out of bounds because of penalty, obviously.
That's true. Another good point. Something that we should keep an eye out for because we could use that to avoid it. As here comes our next participant, a high punt. It's going to land at about the 15-yard line. That was number 14. That was Josh Thiel. So not a bad kick. Certainly not a great kick, but not a bad kick. Got the direction on it, got the hang time. Certainly would allow the special teams coverage to get down there.
I mean, yeah, sometimes the hang time makes the difference, I mean, I sound like a broken record, but that's what's going to separate some of these guys if they can keep the ball up in the air.
West Alabama's Ryan Smith, our cool customer today, wearing the backwards hat, hanging out.
It's a cool name.
Ryan Smith, I do like it.
It's even spelled cool.
All-American status. Not a bad kick. That looks like it might bounce out of bounds. He's going to get a roll. And
stayed in bounds.
We'll say that stayed in bounds. So a great kickoff. A great kickoff. Directional, and it stayed in bounds. Because you never know. In a game, the returner might sit there and try to let that one roll out of bounds, and it could just jump right past him into the end zone for a touchback.
Yep. Well, and also what you want to do, this could be a situation where you want them to return it. You don't want to stop. You want the clock to keep going. So you got to think maybe that's what they're practicing as well, keeping that ball out of the end zone, but in bounds.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. Number 29 now, Todd Adolph, Northwest Missouri State. He kicked it from a bit of a different spot. Look, that one gets way up there in the air.
That's what I like to see.
Not a bad kick, and Kerry, he moved the ball. Guys are splitting the difference. If you're looking at where they're kicking, if you're facing the field looking down the field from where they're kicking, he put it, and other guys usually splitting the difference between the center of the field and the right hash. He put it on the other side. He kicked it. Do you think that was a bit of a strategy to try to make sure that he doesn't just boot it right out of bounds?
Seemed like it. I mean, it worked. That was about as far in bounds as the kick we've seen from this angle.
Now Giorgetti, he's putting the ball right on the center, so certainly not trying to go one way or the other. Must have a pretty good feel for his directional kicking.
It's a line drive.
Put it about where everybody else was putting it, so certainly has a grasp on that. As now we should be seeing guys shortly, I'm sure we'll go through this probably once or twice, kicking to this side, then they'll probably kick to the other side, and then we'll probably get down and have a little bit of fun and kick some field goals, try to score some points.
Boy, was I wrong.
Because that's what football's all about, scoring points. Kickoffs are fun, but, man, ain't nothing better than scoring points. See Eric Galco making his way back toward the press box.
Hey, Eric. How's it going?
As James McFadden from Widener.
Ooh, that's a nice kick.
That sounded good, and that looks good.
Yes, sir.
And that's going to bounce just in front of the end zone and roll right into the end zone as we are rejoined in the press box from the bench press area. Our sideline reporter, makeshift sideline reporter, Eric Galco. Eric, what's the atmosphere like down there in the bench press room?
He's out of breath.
I actually just got back from watching LaVon McCoy from Bethune-Cookman. Everyone was watching him as he was in the bench press. Ended up with 36 bench reps of 225. So measured at 6'3 and a half and 385. Put up 36 bench reps. He's a man with the definitely the biggest guy we have.
Colton Rainey now kicks it. Not quite the direction we're looking for. Kicks it straight ahead. Any other guys impressed you? Any other guys not impressed you? Some guys come up a little shorter than what we expected?
Yeah, a couple of the offensive linemen couldn't put up more than 13, which is always concerning. For that kind of 12-13 range is kind of where you like to see at least the baseline be for these offensive linemen. Obviously, I think all but two are here are above 300 pounds, so obviously the under 12 is always concerning as well. None of the quarterbacks really stood out. Theron Allen from Faulkner and C.J. Tucker from Weber State, both under 5'9", put up 21 bench reps. Theron Allen actually 5'4" and a half and put up 21 bench reps. He's a guy that's going to impress. He impressed so far in the bench reps and will as well in the 40.
Saw C.J. Tuckett at the hotel before we left to come on over to the Style Fieldhouse on the campus of Akron University. His biceps, some of the biggest biceps I've ever seen on a running back.
He's country strong.
You know it. From Idaho, if I'm not mistaken, went to Weber State.
Right.
Married.
Yep.
Actually served an LDS mission before going to Weber State. Served a mission overseas in Japan. He's Mormon. And then he came back, talked to the coach at Weber State. They said, yeah, we'd still love for you to come and play. And, next thing you know, he's playing for them. And now he's here at the BSN Collegiate Showcase putting up 21 reps on bench press. So not bad.
I'll tell you what, I talked to Tyrone Allen earlier today, and I said, hey, how much can you put up? He said, I can do 20. I said, okay. And he did.
Put up 21. Not bad. Kyle Evans, pretty good kick. Put it right on that 10-yard line. Bounced right to the front corner of that end zone. So that's not bad. A pretty solid kick there for Mr. Kyle Evans. Eric, they're starting to do directional kicking. Now kind of tell us, what's the point? Why?
Well, I think part of it is to kick to where your kickoff team is going. I think it helps a lot in terms of game planning against a better kick returner, and obviously not having a bigger leg for a lot of kickers, they need to kind of master directional kicking and making sure they can pin things in the corner without having it go out of bounds, which we'll see right there. A perfect example of that right there, is getting it inside the 10-yard line by number 47 and keeping it in bounds. So it's a big help for a lot of kickers that don't have a great leg. To be able to put it on the sidelines and give the kickoff returner a less chance to open plays up because I'm working from one side of the field only.
And that was my guy Rockney Belmonte there impressing our own Eric Galco. Dolan will be joining us later this weekend. Another BSN staff members.
Get better, Eric.
Yes, Eric, if you're watching, please get better. Please get better. We miss you. Travis Huber puts one up short. That one may just get to the 20-yard line. Certainly not the performance that he was hoping on that kick, as the numbers are now in from the tight ends. Eric, how the tight ends do?
Yeah, I think all the tight ends measured in well for what they are. Obviously, some guys are undersized and being more of H-back roles or situational guys, while their tight ends were big and weighing in. I know the one guy that impressed me in weigh-ins as well, and who's maybe looked at as a tight end or a tackle, is Wayne Whitting from VMI at 6'6", 277, put up 19 bench reps only, but he has 35.5-inch arms, so obviously it's a long way for that bar to travel. So I think he's going to be a guy that could be impressive, and it wouldn't shock me at all if he maybe garners the most pro interest because of his upside and his former basketball playing, and obviously the fact that he can play tackle or tight end, as he really intrigues some NFL teams that are here.
Rockney Belmonte now back up for his next kickoff attempt. Looking at the stat sheet there, it looks like Evan Twombly did not participate. Do you have the scoop on that?
Yeah, I think some guys just didn't want to participate either because they have a pro day coming up at a different school. They want to kind of save themselves for that and make sure that they're prepared as much as possible for that. It's not uncommon for guys to want to turn down drills, especially the bench press, which is so determined on one number, and there's not much you can really glean from that outside of that one number. They want to make sure that they're as loose as possible, only doing that for the day and making sure they can get the most out of it.
Seems like bench press is the most skipped event, I guess you could say. I guess it doesn't really tell much of a tale anyways, but seems to be the most skipped event around here, and I'm sure of other places too.
Back to the action now on the field. Looks like after everybody cycled through, there's twice their directional kickoffs to the right. Looks like we're going to direct it back to the left, and then maybe we'll be able to score some points, or who knows, we may even have everybody do a few onside kicks. They were warming up, and I saw a few guys practicing onside kicks. We may see some of those this evening. So
I don't remember doing that last year, but hey, I've been wrong before. During this broadcast, I've been wrong.
Everett Goldberg's first kick, pretty good. Goes right along that left hash, hits just before the end zone, bounces right into it. Not bad. So as we look at Josh Steele coming up, and he'll go for his first kickoff to the left attempt. And something interesting about Twombly is this past weekend he was actually with the Tiger Cats of the Canadian Football League trying out for them. Said that he was invited up there and went and took a look at it, but he said it's always been his dream since the BSN Collegiate Showcase got started. Actually, the annual event was last year. This was the one event that he really always wanted to go to. Actually, a member of the 2011 draft class, or 2012 draft class, excuse me, not the 2013. but needed a tight end. Twombly was there, gave him a call, and here he is. So, hopefully he can perform well. Abstained from the bench press, as we mentioned earlier, but he'll be here all day tomorrow and ready to rock and roll in the game.
He looked good. He really did. That whole group of tight ends looked good.
Yeah, I was reading Justin Pekovsky wrote a little review, and half the tight ends at least are all All-Americans. So, list of 42 All-Americans that you can check out at the BSN Collegiate Showcase.com. See all 42 All-Americans that are here, as Ryan Smith from West Alabama just kicked off, put one right in the front corner of the end zone. So a pretty good kickoff there. Pretty good directional kickoff there. Certainly something that's always impressive. Now stay awake there, Eric. We've got a long way to go here tonight, buddy.
Long way tonight, a long weekend. I apologize. Been hard at work last night, getting prepared for this weekend. So I'm trying to get motivated after a long day of weigh-ins and measurements. So you're right. I'm up and going now. Let's go.
Just crossed the 1 hour mark in our showcase. Didn't even feel like it. Flew right through it.
You need to slap you or anything? I can slap you.
I'm looking for the pressure kicks these guys are going to have to do in their 35 and 45 yard field goals coming up. That's what's going to really be exciting for a lot of people. All of the fans here in attendance, actually more fans than even I think I expected in terms of the first round of the kicking contest, and we'll see if the fans can be impressed in the first round.
Well, whoever just had that first kickoff, and if he'll turn and face us with that kickoff that we just saw, put that one past the A on a kickoff to the left. That was number 29, Todd Adolph of Northwest Missouri State. A beautiful kick that was to the left of the A, but at the top of the A. So certainly the best one we've seen so far today. I mean, he just got all of that one. Definitely caught the sweet spot of the ball. Giorgetti now up, looking to do the same thing. He'll get it inside the 5, inside the 10. It'll drop dead there. As we near the top again of James McFadden. We have a few more guys left after him, 3 or 4 guys left after James McFadden of Widener.
I'll tell you what, guys, our viewer fluctuation is going between 60 and 100. And I'll tell you guys out there in TV land or live stream land, if you want to submit any questions to us on the little chat box there below the live stream, feel free to do so. We'll answer any football-related questions that you may have.
Absolutely. Great idea, Kerry. There we go. That's how,
thinking on my feet.
That's how we'll live it up. That's why you're here. You're the man. You think on your feet.
I do what I can.
Great idea. If you're just joining us, first off, where have you been? We have been live and in color for the past hour and 3 minutes and 13 seconds. And I'm Brian Scannell alongside of Kerry Gibbs, you just heard him, and Eric Galko of Optimum Scouting, one of the head scouts for BSN here.
The head scout.
And newly a writer for the Sporting News. Congratulations, Eric.
Thank you very much.
Saw your article.
Thank you very
much. Good stuff. I enjoy reading the Sporting News. The inside dish they have is pretty good.
They won't let me subscribe.
Kerry, it must be a personal thing.
It must be.
I'll see what I can do.
I hate to say it. Yeah, we've got our inside guy here. We'll see if he can help you out there.
I really hope so. Who was that just kicked?
That was pretty good, whoever it was. It took a funny bounce. Did anybody else see that bounce he just took?
Was that Colton Rainey?
I believe it was.
Okay.
I believe it was. Like I was saying before, if you're just now joining us, Brian Scannell, Kerry Gibbs, Eric Galko. And we are live inside the Style Fieldhouse on the campus of Akron, Ohio, just across the street from the football stadium. Actually, this is where the football team occasionally practices indoors, soccer teams, track teams. A beautiful facility here.
It really is.
In the heart of Akron, Ohio.
Truly is. And you got to think, their football team's not been, the greatest the past few years, but their soccer team, you got to think, has been generating some money for this athletic, department.
A couple of years ago, took on, was it Duke in the national championship game?
I couldn't tell you. I'm looking at a banner. They said they won in 2010 the whole thing, national championship. So,
well, there we go.
There you go. Looks like they've won the MAC several years in a row.
Kyle Evans, kickoff goes to about the 5. where it bounces just in front of Jimmy Kibble and Jamie Feeney. BSN employees, CEO Jimmy Kibble.
Tell you what, Galco, you want to dive into this a little bit? We got a little time here. As number 42, 43 comes up to kick as soon as he turns around to let you know. But Galco, why don't you dive into some players? You give me a couple names to look for.
This week?
Yeah, this week. It doesn't matter what position. Just let's start offense. What are some guys on offense that you think are going to make a big splash?
Yeah, I think Kadarius Lacey, who only put up, I believe, 16 bench reps at 241, is a guy that's a unique player. He's a power back, but he's a guy that needs to show off some speed this week as well. I think a 40 time is going to be important for him. But he's a guy that maybe on film is the most complete running back here and has a chance to be one of the better players here and get NFL looks as well. I think the receiver is Dominic Gunn of North Colorado. Has some wheels on him. He's going to run in the 4.2s, 4.3s area. Marquand Edmonds from Indianapolis, a D2 guy. As number 43 kicks off here, I think Marquand Edmonds is a guy that has a lot of upside based on his physical tools and skill set. And finally, I think Christian Slaughter of Fort Valley State has a lot of talent as well. 6'3", 170, 180 is going to be more impressive guy here as far as a complete receiver. And I think on offense, they're the big guys to watch out for this week as well as the quarterbacks. Obviously, Jake Mullen of McMurray has a fascinating story we'll get to probably more in detail tomorrow. And Nick Elko, Justin Sortolari, Andre Brodus, and Cameron Smith all have a lot of talent as well.
Number 43 was Travis Hubert, by the way, for in case you were wondering. But it's looking to be a good weekend. A lot of explosive guys here. A lot of athletes on that quarterback side. So.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting week as far as seeing how these quarterbacks interact with the receivers, and we'll see if they can get on the same page quickly because they have a lot of talent. I know you, Kerry. I think the cornerback class has a lot of talent as well, so that'll be definitely the matchup to watch, and we'll definitely have it here on the live stream on Saturday afternoon. Having these guys work out in front of us and breaking down how each one's doing and who's impressing, and needed to pick up a little bit to make the most out of the BSN showcase.
Those defensive backs, full of All-Americans here. Full of All-Americans. Like you said, we'll get into that more tomorrow.
Speaking of another All-American, Rockney Belmonte up to kick. The lefty, pretty good kick, lands just at the 5-yard line to Rockney Belmonte from Northern Michigan. It actually works out with current Arizona Cardinals kicker Jay Feely. Was with him about a month ago, he was telling me. As you all may know, Jay Feely, a long-time NFL veteran. Got to know Rockney when he was up at Northern Michigan. And they've been friends ever since. He's been kind of like a mentor to Rockney. And now it looks like we're going to change things up here a little bit. We may be either moving to field goals or moving to onside kicks. Hopefully, one can only hope that we're about to go into some field goals. What do you think, Kerry?
I don't think we're doing onside kicks, but the kickoffs weren't in the schedule either. So, but we didn't do onside kicks last year, did we, Justin? No, we didn't do onside kicks. He says. So we got Justin Pekowski, BSN staff member. We're here with us. He's delivering us some more bench numbers. If you want to dive into those, Galco.
Ace reporter Justin Pekowski. Let's not forget. Check him out on bsncollege.com. He writes great stuff.
He can bench.
And that's all he can do, evidently. Galco, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, we got some wide receiver bench numbers and some weigh-ins. I mentioned earlier about Dominic Gunn, one of the better receivers here. Weighed in at 167, a bit of a thinly built guy, 5'11", and only had 4 bench reps. When you see a receiver like that, who's mostly based around speed, undersized a little bit at 167, hand size under 9 inches, and bench reps only at 4, it's definitely concerning to see how that guy's going to last in the NFL as well, if he can make that NFL jump. And obviously the CFL or AFL is going to be intriguing to see if he can get a chance there as well. Biggest numbers here, we had 3 receivers tied at 16 bench reps. Larry Lowe of Shepherd, who has some good size to him. Rashad Rich, Bacone, who played some tight end in college, and also Brandon O'Brien of Montana State Northern, who really is maybe the most physically gifted wide receiver here as well. So a lot of talent at the receiver position. I think we have 5 guys who didn't participate in the bench press, which isn't unexpected, but I think this receiver class will really show when they get a chance to work with these quarterbacks and show their speed, especially tomorrow, and working with quarterbacks is also the 40 time and shuttle time as well. We'll see how those guys can do.
Well, Brian's got a great story. I can't wait to talk about him tomorrow. He's a great young man. Not a young man, he's mid-20s, older than us, so he's got a great story, though. We'll talk about that more tomorrow.
Larry Lowe, I got the chance to call some Shepherd University football games on the radio. He was a guy that impressed me. I liked him. He certainly may not be the most flashy wide receiver here, but like you said, Eric, he's got some good size, some good physical ability. And, I think he could be one of those guys that could surprise us here this weekend.
Yeah, it's definitely the case as well. I think we saw last year, Kerry, a lot of receivers got a chance to step up and show that in game they're ready to play and they're able to play and they can play at a high level with the talent around them as well. So I think kind of see these guys in the rack, and I would see guys with bigger size and things we want to look for a lot of receivers. I look for, especially in events like this, to see if they can have early successes. Do they have the size to last against press coverage? And what are their hand size like as well? If they do have to adjust to new quarterbacks and new balls placement, can they reel the ball in consistently? Big hands, a lot of people that do that. Obviously, we have guys here, Dominic Gunn, Linnell Elmore, have sub 8.5-inch hands, and we have guys like Marquand Edmonds from Indianapolis, a bigger physical guy. He's over 9 inches. Rashad Rich, Brandon O'Brien, the two guys we just mentioned, both over 9.5 inches. So that'll help these guys a lot tomorrow, I think, especially on day one, to see if they can have success early on.
Wait, and I think you mentioned this last night. Another big thing to look for, maybe in the more so the game, route running.
Mm-hmm.
Can these guys do what they're told? I mean, they don't have much time to put these plays together. But when that comes down to it in the game situation, do they run correct routes? Do they run crisp routes? Do they make good cuts? All the above. And I'm sure that's something else to look for.
Speaking of doing what they're told, we got a few notable coaches here this weekend. You look at a guy like Brandon Washington, played at LSU for under Coach Nick Saban, and Les Miles actually won a championship back in 2002. Went on then to coach as a graduate assistant at Alabama under Coach Nick Saban. Let's do a little rundown here. Let me just offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach Ron Hill, 26 years of experience, a lot of knowledge. Running backs coach James Valvano, defensive coordinator, defensive backs coach Ike Charlton. Rico Wallace will be coaching up the wide receivers. Actually participated in the BSN Collegiate Showcase last year. Got an offer. Actually made the Panthers. Is that correct, Eric?
He was probably set to. They had a them all season long, and the showcase here, he had a chance to impress there as well. But an injury kind of derailed his hopes of getting in the league, and hopefully a chance next year as well. He's still keeping in shape, going to the regional combine. Hopefully gets a chance as well, because he's a great young man and a guy who has the size and the ability to play in the NFL if he gets a chance.
Linebackers coach Justin Cavanaugh made a guest appearance up here, try to get him on the air, but Coach Cavanaugh needed to get going. Like we said, he's also a speed coach, so he's certainly a busy man. And then rounding out our coaching staff is Brandon Washington, the defensive line coach. So certainly a lot of experience, a lot of wealth, a lot of knowledge, a wealth of knowledge, excuse me.
Give me some of that.
Yeah, if they do have a lot of wealth, let's pass some of that our way. How about that? What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
So, speaking of a lot of wealth of knowledge, Jimmy Kibble now up here in the press box with us, as the kickers, as you can see on your screen, are warming up for the field goal competition.
Pretty clustered out there. All these guys kicking almost at once. It's 5 balls at the goalpost at once right now. So we'll see if
it's a war zone.
It's really a war zone out there. So we'll see if these guys are ready to go for the kicking competition. Obviously, the kickoffs took them a few rounds to really get where they had to go, to be length strength wise. And we'll see if these guys can quickly get acclimated here to the field goal post net, and if they can start making some kicks here.
But like Kerry mentioned earlier, this is the part that matters when it comes to the kicking competition. This is the part that matters. Kickoffs are for scouts. Field goals are for fans. Points. That's what football is all about, scoring points. Some guys are here were the top point getters for their team in their college careers. So, certainly some big names here. They'll be kicking. Where are they going to be kicking from, Kerry? What yard lines?
Well, like I said earlier, we're going to start from round 1. They're going to do 3 extra points, and this is going to be using a stationary holder, not an actual person. Then we'll go back up to the 15, 2 kicks, 1 from each hash mark. 25-yard line, 2 kicks, 1 from each hash mark. 35-yard line, same deal. And then the 45-yard line, if you can hit that 45-yarder, we got a place for you somewhere.
So now, before we jump right into the field goal competition, let's take a look at highlights from last year's field goal competition. Got a brief little highlight reel for you that we'll cue up for you folks.
Great video.
Made by our own Jimmy Kibble.
He's great too.
Hope you enjoyed that, ladies and gentlemen. That was the highlights from last year's field goal competition. A doozy field goal competition, if I do so recall. Right, Gary?
Oh, it went to the down to the wire. Like I said earlier, we had some great kickers in that. A. Carmona really showed off his skills. I thought he was the favorite, but Chase McCoy came from behind and really took it. He's now playing professionally with the Monsters, I believe, still. And like I said earlier, Eddie was with the Raiders for a short time. But yeah, I mean, it was exciting.
Packers now, actually.
Packers now. He's a cheesehead. But how'd y'all like that video in HD? That's on Jimmy's laptop. That video was HD quality right there.
Hey, that's the boss right there. That's all him. We love him. He does a great job, and he's a great guy. Great guy. Was a great kicker in his day, and hey, I'm ready to score some points. I don't know about you guys. We should be getting started here fairly soon, as cameras are being set up down on the field so the scouts can get a good view. Eric, in terms of we did kickoffs. Now, in terms of field goals, what are things that the scouts are looking for? Obviously, accuracy is a key, but what are some other things that the scouts are looking for?
Yeah, I think definitely accuracy is the one you definitely want to keep an eye on. Definitely, obviously, here it's also from different areas of the field. Is it the middle of the field? Both hash marks they want to see, as well as can you spin the ball inside the goalpost? Can you spin the ball outside of your foot as well? So I think scouts want to see that as well. I think definitely for all these guys, if you're going to miss a 15 or 25-yard field goal, it's going to be tough to really impress anybody because those are the field goals you have to make on a consistent basis and make with authority and make regardless of what conditions may be. So I think it's important these guys to make those early field goals, but then obviously as well, the 45-plus yard field goals are the ones that are really going to make your money as a kicker.
I think we had one of those guys make that last year. I think it was Chase McCoy.